on Hangout from ECS Magazine, and I'm going to be, well, at least your host for a little bit before Reggie. And there's Miranda says hi. How you doing? So I'm going to be taking over for a little bit here while Reggie gets some of his computer stuff sorted out. So I'm going to have again, this is Primo. I'm from Executive Automotive Society. We're going to go around the circle here, and all my other guys in here can introduce yourselves. We'll start with you, Sergio.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm up here in Canada. I run the Ontario chapter of Swift Car Club Canada. I've been doing this for about 22 years. Been modifying cars and enjoying the scene. We'll go from there, I guess. Who's next?
Yeah, you next.
All right, Danny. I run my car club, New England Innovations. I've been building cars for I don't know a good majority of my life, and just having fun.
And you currently have your build right now is an RX-7, right?
Yes,
Okay. And how much power are you making on that?
650 to the wheels.
And how long have you had that car?
3 years.
That's crazy. 3 years, man. It feels like it's been like 10.
Yes, It's been. It actually took a year to build.
Yeah.
Long story short, I sent to New Jersey to IR Performance. They kind of dicked me around. I went to a local guy, Steven, SMG Racing, and he had the car all together and everything within about 5 months.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said before, I don't know how to port a rotary. I bet I can figure out how to put it together. It looks pretty damn easy. But porting rotaries, I'm not trying to mess up a housing and pay $1,000 for a new one.
Right. Well, I'm going to take a second here from my good friend here from Enzo Motoring. He says, hi, guys. Great channel. Keep up the good work. It's great to have you over here, Enzo. You know what? You need to take some time out and actually come on the show at some point. Maybe we can get a link over to you later on. Also, a reminder over on the low, I'm hoping on the low right, everybody can see it. This is brought to you by Control Freaks, and we're hoping to have him on later, and everything will be good. Once we get him in, we'll be doing intro with him. So, Sergio, here's your thing. You have more than one car, right, that you kind of specialize with?
Actually, I'm sort of known as a theme builder, if you ever heard of that genre. So I just take oddball cars. I got my Fiat 500. Everyone knows that. It's the first Abarth swap Fiat, because no one bothers to waste their time swapping the Abarths into the Fiat 500s. Then I got my PT Cruiser. Everyone knows that, low cruiser. That thing's been to Dub Dallas. It's been to Dub Charlotte. It's been to Myrtle Beach Nationals. I've always had oddball cars. I had a Blazer. I had a couple mini trucks. I've had a genre of different builds. I've had aquariums in cars, for frig's sakes.
Yeah. Of all the stuff that you have, what's your favorite?
Actually, it all comes down to your first car. You know how it is? There's always that first car that just turns that key on in the building, right? Exactly. So years and years ago, my father gave me a Cavalier Z24, an 89, a Performance Sport Edition. That thing, I must have had 20 grand in car audio on the thing. It was slammed to the ground, kicker audio, red and black interior, red and black exterior. I had the old tri-spoke style wheels on it for a while. Yeah, that's what turned me on to the scene. It was my favorite car. I even took air in that thing like the General League one time, and it took it. That car hit 2 deer, and I still was able to drive it away from the accidents.
That's awesome. Yeah, and the other thing too is you drive big trucks.
Yeah, I actually drive. I do emergency freight. I do expedite services. So I'm in and out of Canada into the U.S. all the time. I do emergency loads, like 1 or 2 skids. It's pretty much a track. It's a T660 tractor that's been stretched with a 24-foot box on the back.
Nice.
That's what I drive. Yeah.
You got to get a picture of that at some point, because that thing, I am a huge tractor trailer truck fan. I just like anytime we get the big stuff. We've had a lot rolling through our area recently, and I've just been able to admire a lot of the Kenworths and the big trucks that I don't know, there's something about them. I think we should always have a tractor trailer truck show at some point to have the big truck.
We actually have one big up here.
Yeah. See, we used to have one local, but it didn't really. I don't know why they stopped doing it. So how many
every year? every year in Fergus, Ontario, they throw a show. It's the Fergus Truck Show. It's the biggest in Ontario, and there's trucks from all over Canada there, even from the States that go to that show as well. But Quebec, they throw one hell of a show. They actually drag race their trucks there. They'll actually hook a load of 80,000 pounds, and they'll pull the front wheels right off the ground and drag those trucks down the road. It's pretty neat to watch. They actually have twin shifting.
How many who of all the trucks that you have pulling that kind of weight, who usually wins those? You know, usually one that rises above everybody else. What's usually the truck that usually gets the best out of them?
It's not the truck. You got to remember, a lot of companies use the same engines, right? So the most common engine to pull the wheels off the front ground, everyone knows, is a Cat.
Yeah.
They leak oil, but they're great engines. Like I got it in my T660. I have a twin turbo Cat. So mine's a bi-turbo setup, so she hauls ass.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not common to not see me going for Ohio at 71 mile an hour. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Yeah, my cousins, a lot of my relatives used to drive trucks all the time, and I remember they had, I think it was an Alpine or something that came up, and he had his Kenworth, and he came up and picked me up one day, and he goes, "Yeah, you want to go on we're going to do the big ride," and that's what we did. We did the big ride, and it was a lot of fun to do it. There's a lot of work that's associated with that kind of stuff too. So
I see you guys have a truck convoy going on in the States now too, eh? Like we just had in Canada.
We did. It started in California, I want to say day before yesterday.
They started early.
They made Oklahoma. The problem was that I was following it because they have a big live stream that they're doing that shows everything. We're just following it from beginning to end. And then with this Ukraine thing happened, it kind of took precedence from all the stuff that was going on. So we basically stopped watching it and kind of focused on the other. I've been flipping back and forth to see them, but it gets difficult when you're kind of multitasking. You know what I mean? And every time you hang up on one, something else happens over here. So it's like you have to decide which one you want to look at. So, but yeah, I think last they said they're probably beyond it now, but they were at Oklahoma last time I checked. So
what's your favorite build? What's one car that stands out that you built back in the day? Would it be your first car?
Me? Ooh, that's a tough one. I worked with my grandfather on a Model T back in the late 70s and very early 80s. I'd say the latest we worked on was probably about 83. That car would go out and have tons and tons of trophies. He had collector cars that were like the first ever fully loaded car. It was so funny because they didn't have electronics. They had vacuum tubes. So if you wanted, power anything, it all had to have a vacuum tube. So there was all these vacuum hoses going all through the engine bay. And he had a 66 thing and a couple other things that we really just love to be a part of. I had my first one was my 82 Trans Am. I liked my 86 944 turbo. I had two naturally aspirated 944 race cars. And I can't really make a decision. I have to say that of all the cars I kind of drove, the Murcielago was probably the car I'm most identified with. But I always end up going back to Porsche. So I don't know. They're just kind of track monsters. And the car that I paid like $2,000 for, I didn't care if I broke it. You know what I mean? So that I'm taking to the track all the time. But yeah, it's a whole different mindset. I really am. I've experienced so many cars. It's very tough for me to say which is the best. Hey, Reggie, you having any luck down there, buddy?
I'm having a lot of computer issues.
Yeah.
The internet.
I can tell you what got me in the cars was my 89 Ford Probe GT.
89 Ford Pro. I gotta look up 89. What is that car? That wasn't the bubbly looking one, right? That was the older one.
It kind of looks like a first gen Eclipse.
Oh yeah, I know that body style. Yeah, that was a good looking body style.
Yeah, it was my first car. Started modifying, beat the crap out of it, blew it up, built it up again, blew it up.
Reg, you had didn't you? No, you had an Escort. That was it, right? Reg, you had an Escort, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a pretty neat car too.
What year was your Escort, Reg?
94.
94. Oh, mine was a 95. I had a purple Escort GT. That was a frightening car. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. But the thing is, I could not believe how resilient that thing was and how much of a beating it would take and just keep on going. So Who now of all the cars that you guys have had, what's been your most reliant? What's the car that you kind of say this would be my daily driver? Is it the same car would be your project car, or was it something different?
You're gonna laugh when I tell you guys.
Mine would be my Corolla. I beat the living crap out of that thing and I haven't put a dime into it. That's the most reliable car.
Yeah. And how about
my Chevy Cavalier? My Chevy Cavalier. I actually turned 900,000 kilometers before I sold the car.
Wow. And that now obviously you've been through an engine or something with that, right?
No. 900,000 original kilometers when I sold the car.
That's crazy.
I don't know what GM did to that engine, but it was done right. Because from factory 1040 oil.
Yep. Now that's the thing is I what is it? For me it was the Toyota, it was a Celica GT. That one had one problem in the history of owning that car. And then I went over with the Genesis that I have now. And that Genesis has been, I think the first problem it ever had was at 112,000 miles. And it was a little bitty problem. I was like, but it would be something that would still ding you on, basically like a quality report someplace because it was a leaky, leaky downpipe on the turbo. So it was like leaking, it was seeping oil. So I was like, just replace the whole thing. It was so like I spent so little on the car fixing it. And that's the thing is the more money you can spend, obviously, doing stuff to a car, the more enjoyable it is. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So here,
I don't know about that. Mark said it sucks on that.
That rotary engine is just going to be.
Is it a twin? Is it a twin rotor you built?
Yeah, it's a 13V REW.
Yep.
Oh, that's going to haul.
Have you ever thought about a Cosmo engine for it, or is that too big for it?
I thought about a Cosmo engine, but then I also thought about not messing up the 50-50 weight distribution.
Okay. Well, so I'll ask you guys this then. And this is the thing that always gets me and everybody. I'm going to throw the curveball in here. How do you guys feel about LS swaps? Everybody says LS swap world. What do you think about LS? Is that something? No, you can't do it. It's got to keep it original or what?
It depends on the application.
The right thing. Like lately, people because I'm part of the RX-7 world. A lot of people are swapping them. You're completely fucking up the car.
On which one? On an RX-7?
RX-7s.
Okay. On a newer one or an FD or an FC?
FD. They're doing them in FCs too.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of people, there's a lot of balance with the FCs that people don't really understand is going on. But that thing is I've seen a lot of the FDs and a lot of the FDs I've seen their LS swapped are just insane. They don't have a lot of the balance issues. And my boy, that Enzo says 1979 Corolla for me. My first build and worked my way up to a McLaren. It's nice. And yeah, he does. He has the orange McLaren right now. That car is amazing. There's Vinny again. You needs again. I don't know what that is, Vinny.
See, LS swap has a time and place. It depends on the application. You got an old mini truck? Yeah, LS is sweet. Yep. You know what I mean? You got like I love to put one in a Chevette with twin turbos and give her hell. Mm-hmm. That'd be fun. Imagine a set of twins with an LS and a Chevette.
Well, that's the thing is we used to say that all the time is we would say, how about we put a bit in that before really LS swaps were, a big deal. Everybody used to say, hey, what if we put a 454 in whatever small, a Gremlin or whatever? And a lot of those cars, I mean, I've been during projects where I think it was a Gremlin or one of those old beater cars that just falls apart and had drum brakes in the back. And we put the, he says, Vinny said, you nerds again. I don't know. You're killing me over here, Vinny. Autocorrect is not your friend. Neither is me. But it just doesn't work for me. Autocorrect hates me. But the thing is, we put one in. It had drum brakes in the back. The car, you just let it idle, and it would literally spin the wheels in the back. It wouldn't let it slow down. And the disc in the front, they wanted to take it drag racing. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that. You know what I mean?
That's way too much power.
Hey, I had a friend who had a Chevette with a small block Chev in it, and he 4-linked the back, and he made it look all stock. He actually sectioned a set of Chevette wheels and made so when you looked from it, you didn't know unless you were looking at the back of it that he had these big 10 and a halves in the back, it looked pretty mean. And that thing, it was a total sleeper. Even the firewall, the way he did the firewall, you swear when you got in that car, you were hopping in a Chevette till you started it. You know what I mean?
Hilarious.
That thing was fun.
I like. Was that discs all around, or did it have drums, or what was the setup?
Oh, he had Brembos on it.
Good.
That thing could stop. That thing could stop. But back then, that mod was like $5,000. Like it was crazy the amount of money you spent on that thing. But that thing hauled ass. But like I said, I actually like cars that are done that almost look factory. Like when you go to a car show and you see a heavily modified vehicle and the mods look factory, it's actually neat. Like
I think that's the way you should do it. I think, and that I like the idea of an extreme. I like the idea of stuff that comes up because you obviously go to a car show and seeing something like the Batmobile, the car from the Munsters. That was really cool stuff. But being able
George Birch was a legend.
Yeah, exactly. So you see, but when you see something come in and you go, my friend just had a Gallardo that was done that was all custom wide body that no other kit was available. Literally built it from molds and stuff, put it together, all carbon fiber. You couldn't tell.
Is that Daily Driven Exotics you talk about? That new one he just built?
No, that's a different.
Oh,
he's got some good bills too. But no, this was up in Fitchburg from Custom Creations, and he put that together. And I'm serious. If that car drove by, you wouldn't know. You would not know that it was aftermarket until you're like, wait, something's not right. You know what I mean? And I just thought that was so smooth to be able to do it like that.
I wish I could do something like that, but like even just doing like modifying the engine in the RX-7, the amount of crap you rip out and the least crap you put back in, you can tell it's modified.
Yeah. Well, that
no matter what, even
that
with the exhaust.
Yeah.
Like
I'm a big fan of firewall shapes. Yeah. Like if you look at the Honda Civics nowadays, you see some of these Honda Civics at some of these events like Race Wars and Street Scenes or at CSCS here in Canada. When you look in the engine bay and it's just clean, wire tucked, you can't even see a brake line. It looks sexy. It looks like an old hot rod. You get what I mean?
I'm gonna get back into talking about the Mamiya body kit for the RX-7. Before we do that, let's have our new guest in here introduce himself. Go ahead, Joel. Can you hear me? Or did you lock up? Oh, there you go. You're back. Can you hear me, Joel?
I can finally hear you. It's the whole going from one system to the other.
Right. Well, introduce yourself to everybody. Let them know where you're from and what your info is.
Hi, everybody. My name is Joel Chappell. I'm located in Milford, New Hampshire, and I run the website called NewEnglandAutoshows.com. And I pretty much attempt to list as many car shows as I possibly can from the New England area.
Now, you just had an opportunity for you recently. I think that you're going to be doing a little bit more supportive, like you're going to have the community coming in with you, right?
Well, that's always the goal. Ideally, I'd really like,
you got the
people to come
tool?
to me and tell me about their show rather than me seek out their show and list them, kind of thing. So,
right. Well, that's the thing is now your shows that you list are specifically for New England, or how far do you go out? Do you go as far as New York, or?
I'll do an occasional New York. Sometimes I'll do like a couple of that are like close to like the Connecticut border or some of the Vermont border kind of thing. But for the most part, it's pretty much the New England area. Keeping track of anything outside of New England right now. I mean, like right now, I think I have 675 shows that I'm trying to keep track of. So to do any,
you guys are lucky. I wish we had that many shows in Ontario.
I think it's more that just he gets access to this stuff and knows all these shows that nobody knows about. I have tried to talk him a couple of times into going worldwide with it, so hopefully you guys will be able to talk him into it at some point. But that's the thing is, like you said, it would be if you're searching for those shows, 600 shows. That's tough. When you have people that are sending you events, and you're listing stuff, then you go, well, that's a no-brainer thing. I'm sure it would be easier to go national at least.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've said it time and time again, like about. I would say roughly 90% of the shows that I have on my website don't even know that I've listed their show on my website. They have no idea.
That's painful work, especially at 600. So
there used to actually be a page too there used to be a page too for to know every car club in North America.
Yeah.
You used to be able to look it up.
it's funny, like I'll find other sites that are, doing what I'm doing kind of thing. And I'm constantly amazed at, not only of what I have or what I've tracked in the past, not so much of like what I currently have. Cause that's the rub is like, I've now been doing this for 5 years. And when I say I'm tracking 675, that's not necessarily saying I got 675 for this year. That's 675 that I've been like trying to keep track of, and some of them might be defunct, some of them might not be doing shows anymore, kind of thing. So it's rough keeping track of them, and nobody answers emails, nobody answers phone calls, and most car shows now, they don't even have phone numbers at all. They refuse to use a phone, and they're only going to use email. And they'll see somebody from like NewEnglandAutoshows.com and they think I'm trying to sell something, so they immediately ignore me.
And we all have the other thing too. And I would give a big shout out to Enzo there. He goes, I try to make them all, and it's hard. And the thing is I know he's actually genuine in that he would really, if he had the opportunity, he would make every event that he could go to if he had the time. He's truck stuff everywhere. But the other thing that we have, and I think Joel has run into this too, is when you try to share events from other places, and this is not to insult anybody or say that they're doing anything wrong, but if they have an event and I try to share it on my page, or if I try to make a page that says it's an event page on Facebook, and somebody running a club knows that I did it, and then they don't have any control over it, they get very upset about it. So it's something that you get a lot of pushback from people, and it makes sense because they want to control their thing. If the show gets canceled and somebody else posted it, they kind of go, hey, we need to have a little bit of control over it. But that's the thing is with an event like for my stuff back in the day, I probably shouldn't have been sharing events. For the stuff that you're doing, I look at them and go, it'd be better to do it on that website, like Serge was saying, and say, hey, it's getting out there everywhere, and here's a centralized space that everybody can come to, and you still have control of whatever event you're there. You have somebody live that's going to update it.
It would be really nice. The only problem is we don't have enough time in the year because, like, for example, I'm here in Canada. Mm-hmm. I already committed to Battle Alabama. I'll be going to Alabama for the May 12th weekend. I already committed to Battle of the Border. I committed to Syracuse, to street scenes. I committed to now my friend Archie in Alabama in the Labor Day weekend is throwing a Labor Day show down in Alabama. I'll be attending that one, but it happens to fall on the same weekend as the Fiat National. So it's one of those, like, we don't have enough time to enjoy all these wonderful events that we have nationwide.
But here's my thing. What if you could start off in January 1st and you have a website, you go right to the website and you go, okay, here's how I'm going to plan out my year. And I got these projects, and then I'm going to dedicate to these so I can pay for those events. I can put a schedule in place. Everybody knows ahead of time, this is where I'm going, I'm going to do. I think that would be positive, wouldn't you?
I at least try to go to a different event every year. I try to attend different events every year. I haven't been to street scenes in 8 years now. So I want to attend that one because I had a great time the last time I went. I've never been to a Battle Alabama. That's why I'm attending that one this year. East Coast, I missed out last year because of COVID. We all know that us Canadians couldn't travel into the U.S. You know what I mean? For the driving border, and I don't trailer my stuff. I drive it.
Yeah, and that's something that's big. So
go ahead.
I
wanted to bring up something about what he does. Everybody keeps messaging me and to push me into, as they say, there's an app for everything now. It's called Car Meets or something like that, an app. And that's supposed to be kind of worldwide.
Well, the problem with these apps, and this is the thing that kind of kills me, is because there's 16 apps out there or more. So you go to the app, and the apps don't do what Joel does. Joel will go out and look for the shows and fill it up himself. These guys need people to go into it and put their stuff in. It's kind of like the old car domain, right? If you didn't put your car domain in there, you didn't have a car. And boy, that showed some age by being able to say that. But anyway, everybody's like, "Oh, you're that old." Huh? But yeah,
I'm that old too.
Yeah, right. Perfect. But that was the thing is people if they don't put their shows in there, the value of Auto Trader, for instance, if nobody put their cars for sale on Auto Trader. Not a lot of people would use them, and that's really what we've been looking for, is something that would start off. And I think the problem is a lot of people start with the app and they don't start with Joel. And that's the thing is Joel has this thing about, he does all the work, and then now you have an engine already running, and then people could come in and say, okay, there's this event, I'm going to claim that, I'm going to control it, or I'm going to do whatever, and then you can have support. Second thing is that a lot of guys who do these shows or hot rod shows or some of this other stuff, they don't even. I mean, I had one guy that said, make sure you put it in the newspaper in the headlines, and I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. Do this paper still exist? Like, he just didn't. It's up to the guy, you know.
It's real funny too, because like when I first started out about 5 years ago, I mean, and realistically, my website was started out of anger. I mean, legit.
Isn't that how all great ideas start?
I would walk into work and somebody would go like, "Hey, did you go to that show that was over in Manchester?" I'm like, "What show that was in Manchester?" And I'm like, and then my wife would throw away my whips and wheels that had like at least 30 like shows like listed in it, and I'd be like, "Where's the whips and wheels?" And she goes, "Well, it's been here for like a month. Like, isn't it over with?" I'm like, "No, it's still got info in it." But when I first started, and I had little things that I was handing out, and I'd go to a car show, and like the old timers will sit there and they'll look at me, and I'm like, yeah, you can come to me and give me a copy of your flyer. I'll put it on my website. I'll put it on a calendar. This is before I had the master list that was actually public. Mm-hmm. And I said, I put it on a calendar, and that way it'll show up in the week that it occurs. And I'll even share it on Facebook and that kind of stuff. And
we have that in Canada.
Right. And they're literally, they'll look at me like, yeah, but we hand out flyers.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, but you can get online too to a broader audience. And they're like, but we hand out flyers. And they just don't understand. A lot of the old timers just don't understand.
Old school. Yeah. Here's the thing. You go to a swap meet.
Even the new guys, they're extreme on the other side. Whereas like they're now only using like Instagram, and that's it. They refuse to use any other platform except Instagram. And it's like, guys, you gotta kind of branch out. And because we're now starting to get the old school guys to at least embrace Facebook.
Right.
I wish we had like what you got. Honestly, we need a database for North America, because what car club names exist, what car clubs exist, what events are every weekend, because we all know there's a show 365 days of the year.
Yeah.
There is a show, from A&W Cruise Nights to charity events to major events like Alabama or Battle of the Border or Dub. There is major events. We need one source that anyone North America, Canada or US could go to and go, okay, what's going on this year? What's one event that I didn't check out last year that I want to check out? When's that date? That would be awesome if we had one database.
And
that'd be awesome.
And having people that would support it and say, okay, and not only am I going to support it, but in other words, people that would go there and you know what? That's my
consistently update it. I mean, the big issue too is that, you've got to get the car show organizers to actually embrace the system, and that's been that has literally been my major challenge, is that I can't get the car show people to like embrace me, mostly because realistically I'm kind of new to the scene. Even though I've been going to car shows all of my life, I haven't really been prolifically in the forefront of trying to promote car shows or organize. I've never run a car show or anything like that. I'm just trying to get the information out for the existing shows kind of thing. But there's I think we Alan and I have kind of joked about this guy, Jack, who's been running the Maynard area car club out of Massachusetts, where he has like a list, and like people will still tell me Jack has everything, and I'll look at it, I'm like, he's got 100 shows listed, he's got maybe 200 shows listed, and I'm like, how does he have everything? And I've got like 400 plus that are currently like active, and I've got like good documentation that they're actually occurring. But I don't have everything. It's like, this guy's got everything, but I don't. And it's like, I don't get it.
I agree with you on that post. Some people just don't want to change either, right? They don't want to try new things. Like here in Canada, we actually have a show promoters page, which is where everyone who's ever ran a show in Ontario was added onto this master group. And what we try to do is communicate with each other involving dates, so we don't step on each other's dates for events. Like, for example, Canada Day was my old show. And now we will be having a show in September, on the 17th of September here in Ontario for going to charity. We actually are in the process of working on the sponsors right now for the event, and we're hoping to be throwing it this year. We were going to wait another year due to what's been going on, and especially now what's going on. It's a little unpredictable what's going to happen in the next few months with what's going on worldwide right now. You know what I mean?
All right. So before we go forward, I just want to let you, if anybody comes in, it's new, it's watching this right now, I wanted to welcome you back to the ECS Hangout. This is sponsored by Control Freaks. It's controlfreakcompany.com is the website. So if you tuned in, remember, this is an open forum. We just have some people come in that is part of the car community, and we talk about our stuff. So I just want to add something for Archie over here told Joel, keep doing it and it will ground, which I think is excellent news. My thing is
hey, Archie White, come on live. He's got an event in September.
There you go.
That's Archie White. Bring him on.
Mm-hmm. So my dream is that if we had a website or we had a place or whatever that we all kind of as a car community said, this is the center place, that the idea was this, especially for these new people, it kills me that I see new people that will make shows. They put this stuff together. They don't know how to market well. And then they'll have a show I've been to that's like, this is an incredible show. Why isn't anybody attending? And you go there and it's nobody's there. They don't have a place to go to put this stuff out. If we could make a place where every time somebody posted a show, we could fill it up with, so let's limited to, it's got 30, 40 people there, that 30, 40 people will fill it up. And there's your dream. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that is, you can't go wrong. I think that's the way it should be. We have enough people out there with car types, everything, that we could literally have 5 shows a weekend of different car types, fill it up, and nobody would get offended. Nobody would get upset. They'd be happy that they had whatever thing that was out there, you know?
What I've noticed lately is a real change between the hot rod guys and the tuner guys, and everyone's come to the understanding we're all in this for the better good of it. I hate to say it, COVID did bring us all together, because I've noticed a lot now that the gearheads like, hey, that's an old trick that I used to use. I'm glad to see that go in your car. You know what I mean? I'm starting to see this. You know what I mean? And I honestly think a nationwide page would make a difference. Like, if you could go to one database, find out, even for example, you're a new guy and you want to start a car club, your own car club, you can go to that database and find out, okay, this name doesn't exist in the registry. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be
because we used to have that. We used to have that years and years ago. I don't know which magazine it was, but once a year they posted every car club that existed.
I remember.
Which one was it?
I don't remember.
Hemmings used to have like a huge page, like in their magazine, for when they used to put out like a real paper magazine.
What was that, Reggie?
Yeah.
Low Rider Magazine and Mini Trucking Magazine used to do that.
Yeah, Mini Trucking. I was trying to remember if it was Mini Trucking or one of the other ones.
Well, here's something that Vinny just said. We used to have Northeast Syndicate before message boards and for message boards and Facebook and IG, and it was a forum. And that used to be huge. Forums used to be where everybody went to get their information, and now forums are dead. Like I know a couple of people that go for support for like the Corvette guys and some of the
like the specific, like the car specific forums are still very active, kind of thing. But as far as like an actual car show forum, it's funny. I actually started a forum on my page, and not one person joined it, and so no
one chimed. Yeah,
and I kind of said, screw it. If we're going to use a forum, we'll use Facebook as a forum. Kind of thing.
Doesn't
Facebook group.
Yeah, and here, and that's the tear is that you have the Facebook groups, you have kind of the email groups, you have the IG groups. And then you have the apps, which are trying to get some sort of traction and having no luck with it. Yeah. And that's the thing is where do we find the center? Where do we find that funnel that goes, okay, everything points to here?
It's really difficult because, coming from my experience, it's what we've already said, getting outside of New England for me would be really hard to do. Like, I
pretty much need someone from every state and every province to send you events.
Right. Like a dedicated person that's monitoring like almost every state, like kind of thing. And even every country if you wanted to do the worldwide thing.
Oh, you should see some of the shows that are worldwide. I've been to a few in Spain, a few in Portugal, a few in Germany. Oh, Australia, you got to check out their shows.
Yeah,
they go for some amazing mini truck
Saudi
events.
Arabia even has like a couple of shows that are like
just
out of the world,
off the hook,
right? And it's like so, to do that and have the infrastructure for that large of a database because it would be gigantic.
Oh, you need one hell of a server for that.
Right.
You need one hell of a server for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So but getting like realistically the manpower to and resources to just do like outside of what I do is just
crazy.
Let's do it, Joel. Let's do it.
I mean, the thing is like I would love to, Alan. The problem is like I barely have the bandwidth for what I'm doing.
Right. I think that's let it grow with you. You know what I mean? Like in other words,
right. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. Is like I have a full-time job. This and New England Auto Shows is not my full-time job. Absolutely, but I just can't.
And I got to add this to you right here, Archie. And this is the thing that I've told you before, and it's good that
Archie, come on live with us.
Everybody wants to let you know.
Yeah, I want him on here. He's a family member.
Our energy and knowledge behind your ideas and make it work. Let's do it by region to start. And that's the thing that I've told you before, and I think that this is a great place to start seeing it, is the amount of support you're going to start getting from people once your idea gets traction and gets out there. The thing that people understand is you put your heart into this. And I think you put your heart in a lot more than a lot of people do. And this is not to insult anybody else or say, because I run New England Car Show Review and I don't do a tenth of what you do. So I know how much effort you put into it. And
it's funny though, because like I look at like the stuff that Alan has though, and I just like go, oh my God, he has like so much more. He has so much more traction and feet in the door than I feel that I have.
It's who you know. I hate to say it.
It is, and
sense of the word,
right? Yeah. And it literally is because like I'm kind of the new guy. I'm only starting to finally get like last year was kind of like the first year that I actually got you're the New England Auto Show guy. I know you. I love your pictures. Kind of.
Have a good night, Enzo. Sorry,
but that like I got Reggie. You kind of appreciate this. Tano Rinaldi actually picked me out of a crowd, one of the Meet New England shows. And he literally got up off the ground as he was taking pictures, and he looked up at me and he goes, "Oh, wow, another professional photographer." And I went, "Oh, no, I'm not a professional photographer. I just do this for my silly website." And he goes, "Oh no, Joel, I've seen your work. You do good stuff." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Tough. The thing when you're on their home it's like, it's there, man. And the thing is I think the problem is that we are our own worst critics. That's the problem. Is a lot of that stuff. I don't have any traction right now. You have a ton of traction, and it's not just you, but there's tons of people that run shows that do all this other stuff that have something in our car community that puts a lot to it, and they think I'm not here, and they are, and it's you wanted to say something, Reggie?
Yeah, I just realized who Joe is. You sent me a message a couple of days ago.
I did. I sent you a book.
That's fun. I probably didn't feel like reading all that.
Yeah, it was like after I sent it, I'm like, there's no way he's gonna read this whole thing. I mean,
too long, did not read. Did you send that back to TLDR back?
Yeah, it's TLDR. It is.
I could send you a book on to Ontario as well.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what we keep seeing events from your area, and there is a group. I think it's the VW guys that really do it best. That they have their event that's up in Canada, and they really push everybody.
Berlin Classic.
Yeah, and they just fill it up. And everybody here, I always get the local guys that are telling me this is where we're going. And I keep saying I got to go up and do it because I think that there's a lot of shows in your area.
I'll see you there.
Yeah, it's one of those things of push. You know, it'd be good to be able to have everybody go up and support both areas. I think Miranda's going to bed.
Yeah.
Well, April 29th weekend, and we have more.
Have a good night. What's that again? Say, sir. Say
April 29th, we have Motorama.
Oh yeah. That's
yep.
How many cars do you usually have at that show?
Oh, we only have like 3 going. A lot of our cars are taken apart.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is I think that we need to have more of these huge shows that are out there that people don't realize are out there. I think both North and like Florida. What was that show in Florida? Joel has like 6,000 cars show up to it. What was it?
There's one in Kissimmee that goes like gigantic, but then of course like Pennsylvania has like multiple events at Carlisle that are just gigantic.
Oh yeah.
I get invited. I have friends in Pennsylvania.
Mopar Nationals.
Yes, and then the Corvettes of Carlisle event, which is like there's like I think there's like 6,000 Corvettes in like one location for that, maybe 5, but I don't know. I know my cousin went there once.
Yeah, I haven't made one of those Pennsylvania events yet.
I know, and it's funny. It's like my cousin's been there, and I know people that have actually been there, and they're like, "Oh, you got to go," and it's just like, I have a hard enough time even just attending half the ones in New England, and it's like,
Well, you know what the problem is we keep seeing the Connecticut events that we love so much.
Oh no, right?
Never make any of those, so we got to make a road trip thing about it and go. You know what? What's it? 4-hour drive to some event out there. I'll meet some of my friends out there that I haven't seen in forever, and so we have a big party over there.
Well, it's more than 4 hours to Canada.
Yeah, right. How would it was? I think it was 6 for us, right? 6 hours to the border. Something like that.
I think it's 6.
Yeah.
For me, take about 2 hours off. So I think I'm about 4 hours from where I'm at.
You're 4, and I know to you from me is like an hour and a half or hour and 40 minutes. So yeah. So about
Reg, how far?
Reg is right next to me, I think. So he's got the same 6-hour trip, right?
So 3 hours.
Is that ready?
Is that pretty much?
Yeah, pretty much. Vinny goes, once the Plymouth is done, we'll be taking at it. And I know Vinny will go. I mean, I'm pretty sure if he could fly it over to some place overseas, he'd be going over there too. So, but I think those guys, you
guys will see my face down your way.
I hope so. Yeah. Do you? Well, so what events do you have planned in like Massachusetts area?
Actually, I haven't picked one yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to pick something in Boston.
Yeah. Vinny says that show in Montreal.
I heard you got a crazy car scene.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I heard Boston has a pretty intense lowrider and tuner scene.
Yeah, we do really well here for that. And that's I don't know if that's like a well-kept secret too, because a lot of people were like, they really? I'm like, well, I have a place in Rhode Island that's a bunch of guys that probably 6-7 guys at least that can pull together a show in a half a heartbeat, and that they're like, hey, we're going to do a party. It's 1, 2, 3, and they all get together, and it's literally all their friends. Like, hey, if you want to come over and hang out and meet people, and it's really go up and shake hands. Don't be afraid, and everybody's friendly. Here's some food. Here's some stuff. Like, oh yeah, it's so family, and I just love it. A
group of them actually decided to invade this very small town in New Hampshire called Greenville, which is like population 20, kind of thing. And I think like 250 plus cars like showed up in this town that like literally like the main street is maybe like 2 miles long, if that, kind of thing. And it was just like. And nobody knew what to do, like
guys are like looking over, like, whoa, what's that? What's that?
Yeah,
what's
like the whole town was like, what is going on? Kind of thing. But,
they have a half a post office, like the
right. Well, no, the post office is in the general store.
Right. Yeah. I love the one that had the police. It was the police station and a post office and something else all in the same store. I was just like, wow. So if you ever get arrested, you can definitely mail somebody. You know what I mean? Because the phone probably don't work. Here's your. You don't get one phone call. You get one mail.
You get one stamp.
Call somebody good, buddy. So yeah, that's what was the yeah, if you guys remember Phil was on here before. Phil's done I think 2 of the shows that we've done, and Phil was just talking recently about he got an older a bubble, which is the rounded body donk cat style vehicle, and he was going to events and he goes, I had told him before, I said, if you want to learn it, this is the guys to go to. Get one of these cars, go there and watch what happens. It's so amazing how quick you're going to be accepted. And he didn't believe me. He gets one. He goes to the first event. He messages to me back and he goes, okay, yeah, let me do that too. He goes, I have never, I never understood it until I saw this. He goes, I took so many pointers down from the show that he does, and he just writes all that stuff down and says, you know what, these are the pointers I'm going to get. I'm going to start. These guys, know what they're doing. So, and it was incredible to see his learning curve for it.
Well, I've noticed over the years, if you don't ask, so no one's going to tell you how they did it.
Right. And if you haven't been there, you don't know what it's like. So
exactly.
I'm going to give you two shout outs right here. ECS is going to be the Lone Star Throwdown in Conroe, Texas, and in Cars on the Coast in Savannah, Georgia. And that's this weekend. So this what's going on now, I believe, right, Reggie? Yeah.
Yep. Matter of fact, we have ECS Brandon right now. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us from Control Freak because he's at dinner with his family right now.
Nice.
But he's covering the Lone Star Throwdown, which is a massive bagged, full-size truck show majority down there in Conroe, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have, Brett down there shooting for Cars on the Coast in Savannah, Georgia. And here's the kicker. Both of these car shows are going on right now as we're speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And both of these car shows, along with others, are going to be in the upcoming March 1st print issue.
Nice.
That's what I'm working on as we're talking. I'm working on the magazine.
And I'm sure you got some stellar pictures there that we'll need to see when that thing comes out, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting issues.
Yeah.
But the Lone Star itself is going to have 4 pages of coverage in it just because it's that massive of a show.
Well, Archie just said, I'm here. It's nice. LST 2022. So there you go.
I wish I was there.
I was trying to get somebody, even if it's not my photographer, that is watching this video right now before we go off. That is happening to be live at the Lone Star Throwdown. Shoot, come on, show us what we're missing. We love to see it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's. If you guys are photographers out there, we need more of you. The people at Joel's level of photography ability, we definitely need that higher rank for there.
That's funny.
I'm gonna keep razzing you, and I'm like, you gotta until you finally go like, yep, I'm here. You know what I mean? Until you accept it. But yeah, that you guys have the pictures out there. We need. We have this publication here that can put this stuff out there.
It's funny because the whole thing about there's a difference between car photography and car show photography, because car show photography is so hard. It's like probably the hardest photography to do because you have zero control over anything, because
it's very dynamic.
Well, the car is sitting where it's sitting, and the light is usually awful. You're never going to get that perfect light, so you're dealt with, and you have to know correct camera settings. And sometimes I miss, sometimes I hit perfectly. But it's funny because I talked to a professional photographer about it once, and he was kind of looking and he goes, you literally are in a niche that is like the hardest to do, because it's not like you can literally sit there and go, okay, can we just move your car like 20 degrees, like,
yeah,
right, to get that perfect light kind of thing. You just can't.
Think about this. You're with a bunch of guys here that understand what flake paint is like. And we've tried to say, hey, let's send that to the customer. Let's take a picture. Okay, that didn't work. How do we do it?
Yeah.
Can we go live with it? Can we about the only guys that get any luck with us is the detailer guys, and that's because they can show the mirror sheen versus how much we beat it up before. And other than that, it's a monster. And then you have lighting. Like you're like, okay, I would do it at 9 a.m. By the time it's noon, you have a different car. The way you took a picture 2 minutes ago is not the same picture you're going to take again.
It's funny. There's one particular car show that's a weekly event that I hit often, and there is one spot at that car show that, like, if a car parks there, you always hope it's a different car every week, because then it's like at precisely 5:01 in the evening, if you can be like in that spot, you will get a perfect shot of that car, because it's at the right angle, the sun is at that perfect golden hour kind of thing, and it's just like, oh my god, like I've taken shots of cars at that, and it can be the ugliest car you've ever seen, but then you look down at the camera screen and you're like, I can't believe I just took this shot is amazing, kind of thing.
Where was it at?
Hey guys,
Yes,
do you see Archie's comment?
what's that? Which one? I'm an amateur,
He can go live, and he's there.
Oh, does he want to go live? I would love to. I didn't see him break that. We've been begging him to come on.
I'm an amateur.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Archie, come live.
Pictures. But I'll send you what I think he's talking about sending pictures. But if he, like I said, if you want to come on and do some 360 view on us to give us a little virtual reality, man, I would be in to have that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, but the thing is, we already have ECS Brandon down there. I'm not taking pictures. I hope you talk about going live.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go.
Back to your guys' photography thing. I know.
Hey, I got to step up, guys. I'll be right back.
I know one guy that loves car meets, taking photos.
Yeah.
Because he likes the raw photos of him. Anthony Miguel.
I don't know.
Why does that name sound familiar?
He did a lot of low life standard meets. He's done meets.
I think I actually met him once at Meet New England. I think he came up for one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's actually a really good guy.
That's what I thought you were talking about, pictures, Archie. So yeah. That's yeah, it's cool to be able to have all that stuff and the coverage that we have recently, and we've had a lot of ability to do that. So I can't wait to look forward to stuff that Brandon has to bring over at some point. So Reggie, when is that? Do you have a time for that?
What's that?
When's the next one drop for the I think the magazine or whatnot? Do you know?
Well, I wasn't supposed to say it, but I'm gonna say it. By the time everybody starts watching this, they'll realize it. But not only is ECS Magazine dropping the print magazine on March the 1st, might be a few days left, by the way, because we're also releasing Drop Draw Vans magazine first time in March.
Wow.
Custom vans, all custom vans. We're going to be releasing both of them pretty much at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you broke up a little bit. Can you say that again?
I'm working on 2 magazines right now at the same time.
Nice.
But that was not my main focus is ECS Magazine. What I want to let everybody know that's watching afterwards, the shows that are going to be in the upcoming print. World of Wheels from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Nice.
Clean Expedition from North Carolina. Reason from North Carolina. Blood Drag of Ocala, Florida. Eastbound Get Down in Florida. Lone Star Throwdown, Texas. You're going to have the Shriners Hot Rod Expo Show in North Carolina. Cars on the Coast in Georgia. Mobtown Showdown in Alabama. And City of Shine in North Carolina.
Wow. How many shows was that? That was like, I lost count.
12.
Wow, 12. It's incredible.
And, well, usually it's that's actually surprising for this kind of early print. In January and March, prints usually don't have that much because most shows that going on.
Yeah.
Because there really ain't much going on up here.
Yeah. Vinny, I am going to send him one at some point here. he's got a good one going on. It just kind of drops out for some reason. So, but yeah, we got to get you a new mic, Reggie. What's that, Reggie?
Well, I put you as the co-host, Primo, because you had the nice fancy microphone and the radio DJ voice.
You know what? Okay, I got the studio here. I mean, we got to get you come up to here, and well, I'll give you the SM58. I'll give you your own little boom stand and everything. I'll put you on the couch back here. We'll have, but seriously, we won't even look any different. I'll put the camera in the same spot. Nobody will even know it was different, except for the wood grain in the back. And yeah, we'll have a great show up here.
I come up there in the studio, sit on your couch with your fancy microphone. I hope there's gonna be some moonshine waiting for me.
Dude, you know I'm from the South. I can't let you down with that, man. We got to get the stuff with the XX on the bottle that you're gonna have to turn up and drink it like that. Come on, you know how I roll. Then I'll have to give you the spare room too, because you won't be able to make it home that night.
I was going to say that he's not going home after that.
Be a couple of days in recovery. So.
No, I had
Unless his
moonshine.
daughter Miranda is going to start driving him home from there.
Right. What was that,
I
Reggie?
had moonshine before. I didn't get that messed up of it. I think it was weak stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely weak then. What'd you say, Reggie?
Well, for one, I don't want to pick on Danny here, but your green screen sucks.
Wow.
Good job.
It's gonna be a burn session. All right. Me and Joel are gonna be over here on this side of the screen. You guys do this over here. And then how's it going, Joel? It's good to see you today.
Listen,
So,
I feel like the Brady Bunch where it's like, I'm like
right. Here's the story of a lovely community.
I don't know how to actually get it to fit correctly on the screen. They won't.
My suggestion would be to just take, because I know that's a background. She heard her name upstairs. That was, I'm not sure. But yeah, I would just take that green screen off and get yourself like a nice wood background.
The light makes it better. That's better.
Yeah. And then don't zoom in so close like that. Just
I'm not zooming in at all. It's just the way it's sitting.
Yeah, it's probably that screen. That's what it is. It looks like what was that thing that you know I'm talking about, Joel? The thing with the cartoon show where it kind of looks like they're putting the face into the cartoon. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Was it the Banana Splits or
Yeah, it's
or
one of those.
God, what was one of the Hanna-Barbera?
No, we're not talking smack about her. Stop it.
No, it like
Miranda, you're gonna have to get your license
at the bottom of my screen. Look at the bottom of my screen, it shows it all perfect, but then you look at the screen on the top for the live, and it's just like half my face.
Right, because it's getting compacted down. So, Braylon Rosal says, "Wait till you see my coverage, Reggie." Okay, so do you? Is that your coverage there, Reggie? Or?
No, okay. Braylon's a young fellow. He's my daughter's age. He went to, I think it was the Lamborghini show last year for the magazine. And he's like 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
And my photographer was having some issues with his tip and all that stuff at the control freak stand or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And this young man picked up the camera, went out there, did his damn thing, and sent the coverage in, and I gave him credit for it.
Nice, cool.
He did a really great job.
Good. Yeah, the more people we can get to get into our community, I'm always happy to see it. So, and it's bitten. Like, I really think that this year is going to be a crazy year, and I think it's already
going to be off the hook. It's going to be. We're going to get to a point where we're not going to know which show to go to first because there's going to be too many happening at once.
Yeah, and I think that I will never complain about that. So.
No.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there we go. Got a new background there. He's working it. He's got it. There you go. Gotta get to the end or something. There you go. But yeah,
get seasick. Oh, geez.
That was we were talking about. NASCAR actually, I think, beat the Super Bowl for something like people who watched it, and then they broke some kind of record at Daytona for the amount of people that showed up to it, and just all this stuff. And now we're seeing events right now that like you put up a sign up thing for it, and it sells out before you can even like. You think you go into like a huge rock band concert, so. And I just think that is amazing because it's been a long time since I've seen that. At the beginning of what was it? I think 2021, you saw people try to do it, but it's almost like a false start because we still had a lot of restrictions in place, and now all those restrictions are just bleeding away. They're gone. And that's, I mean, like Massachusetts is like, nope, no more of this, any of this stuff. It's gone. When we were doing the first shows at the Rain and Flea Market started doing their shows over there. And when we did that show, the Board of Health had actually showed up and was like standing outside to make sure that people were wearing masks. And now the last day that they had that in place, they were there. And they were like the next day, they're like, yeah, by the way, tomorrow it's not going to matter, so don't even worry about a thing. And now all that stuff.
Thanks. That scared everybody away. Thanks. You know, it's like
right. Exactly. Well,
right. Like, oh, great.
I think the thing that got us, and that was the thing that was most infuriating or frustrating, or however you want us to do it, was that a lot of people wanted to. They were like they thought they were outside, that everything was okay. And so when you look at them and you say, look, you gotta put that on. See, I had mine on because I'm going to follow the rules. I want to make sure that we protect our car shows and that they always keep. You got to respect the police. You got to respect the people. That was something that we did. We put our stuff on immediately, and you can see some of these guys were just like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Let's just do it. But that's again, everybody was good about it. They put their stuff on, or they were distance or whatnot. And like I said, that stuff about that's going to frustrate them, that won't be there. You get that first big event, and then that procession will keep going. They'll still have the same momentum, and I think that's going to change stuff like the dog track, all these other shows. It's going to be a big help, right?
Yeah, this year will be epic, in my opinion, and I think we're record turnouts again. I'll be honest with you, like last year, I think there was a lot of, especially like new shows, that just like had turnout that was highly unexpected at certain ones. Like the New Hampshire Muscle Car Club, they had one up in Deerfield, which I was prepared to go. There might be like 300 cars there or something like that, and they had like over 900 plus cars like there, and everything, and that was the beauty of it, is they had everything. We had some tuners, we had some lows, we had exotics, everything. It was great.
Do you think you're going to see more of that this year? We're going to see more, I guess the word is like cross-pollination or diversity. I like that word. I
like the word diversity, and I think there are certain events that certainly cater to that, right? There's certain events that actually say that's what they want, because they'll have like the trophy classes for each of them, and that's what attracts that's what attracts that.
Did you know that Lady Driven New England, that they're going on there? This is their third year anniversary right now.
Third year anniversary, yeah. And
I'll
tell you,
members now.
Right, the membership there is fantastic, and I'll tell you, like I've met quite a few of the ladies from that. There's one particular girl from Maine who has this absolutely fantastic Ford Focus that's done up like so nice in a Star Wars theme. Mm-hmm. And it's so good, and she's won awards with it, and it's so great, and she's such a great person too. But let's kind of let here's a topic of discussion that I've like attended like the thousands of car shows throughout my life kind of thing. The one problem that I sometimes have is the more diverse obviously also means the more trophies, which I actually also think is kind of like you know, you get a lot of people who just leave because they don't even want to deal with like the trophies because there's just too many of them to wait for.
I've seen a lot of shows. I'm helping with another show right now, and this is something Tony Torres had been on the Hangout before, and we talked to him about it, and that was something that both happened with me and then happened before. Was these events had trophies? They had limited people to show up. Then they said, okay, you can make a choice between doing trophies or just doing a Hangout, and now they got what do you call it? Now they've got a huge amount of people that are showing up because now they don't have this. 60% of the people didn't want to go for a trophy. And so my friend asked me about that, and he says, well, what should I do with the show? And I said, don't make it required. In other words, if you want to go for a trophy, maybe it's a $20 show. If you want to just do it for a meet, then it's a $10 show. However you want to do it, just do it. Yeah. And the thing is if you do it like that, people are more. I mean, let's what is it? The one coming up in Connecticut, that's going to be huge, and there's no trophies there. People pay. Yeah. You know what I mean? They just pay to show up and hang out with each other. And if you have a show like you were saying, 900 people strong, then
yeah.
I'm going to.
I mean, the thing is you do risk kind of like it's that double-edged sword, right? Because you know, I think. Like one of the criticisms that I've heard about the Meet New England event is that, you know, some people are like, I'm paying money for, and I don't know what I'm getting out of it. Kind of thing, you know, where's that money going, you know, kind of thing. And it, you know, if it's a charity event, usually nobody has like any problem.
Oh, that's huge. I love that. So we could do charity events to the moon and just say, hey, we're coming out to hang out. The ones that we were doing, I think it was Jimmy Fund that we were going for. And that was, he says, what should we do? And I said, if you do an event with me, it has to have a charity focus. Right. If it doesn't have a charity focus, I'm not even bothering. And the reason too, is not just because it's good to have a charity, but because so many people want to come out and support a charity. Right. And especially, hey, no money's going into my pocket.
You can get, you know, like, you know, if you can find a quality charity, you know, and I mean, that's the key. I mean, like you'll almost always win with, you know, supporting, veterans, and which is the one that I always, you know, love doing. But I, you know, like Make-A-Wish, they're usually like always like good. But you know what I always wish would happen more is like, I wish like the Boy Scouts would like actually hold more car shows to raise for their, you know, for their like programs kind of thing. And there's a couple out there. There's one over, I believe, in like the coastal area of New Hampshire that's over there, but there's also one in there's one in Mass. I think I almost want to say it's like Gloucester or something like that, for that troop that's out there. And I've heard it's a fantastic show when they were able to have it. And you know, like, you know, charitable organizations are always a win for a car show. It's always a win. It never loses. And you will always get attendance, and you always get support out of it.
I want to add one too here, because I'm a big shout out to my boy David Morgan. He says cancer causes. Absolutely, that's
absolutely.
But I want to add to Vinny's here, because Vinny says something that I think is very paramount here. Handmade trophies for only 10 classes at the Creeps show, not 1,000 plastic junk. Now here's the thing.
That's fantastic.
I mean, when we did our thing for Car Grumps, one thing, Jamie Kelly.
I have a story after you.
Right. So when we did his, he was like, "Do you have a trophy?" I said, "I'm going to hand you something right now that's going to be just a showpiece, but I'm sending you your trophy." When I sent him his trophy, he had a name on it. It was a real trophy. It was a huge, awesome trophy. Yeah. He was like, "Wow, few people know how to do a trophy," and that's the thing with the Creep Show, is that they know how to do trophies. Have you ever seen their? If you haven't had a chance, go check out the trophies that they have. They're out of this world. And that's the thing is that something that you would say, hey, you know what? We do have a show class, but when we do the trophy stuff, the trophies you're getting are insanely cool and unique. What about that? Wouldn't that be something you look for?
Yeah. I think any, unique trophies are always like an absolute great thing. And I think that certainly makes it more interesting. And also I think sometimes you see, like as Vinny said, like, you get 10 classes instead of like 40. Which 40 classes is almost just too much.
Too much.
Well, I mean, 20 is almost too much, in my opinion. But the story that I want to tell you is I had a gentleman who approached me when I pulled in with my Corvette, and he was another Corvette guy, and he says, "Have you ever been to the Gate City Corvette Club event that's usually in May?" And I said, "Yep, I've been a couple of times. Matter of fact, I have a few trophies from that one." And he said, he says, he was with a group of other Corvette guys, and all of a sudden one of the guys announced "Rags Down." And so they're a very big judged event, and they have this whole thing that at 11 o'clock, it's rags down. You're not allowed to touch your car. You're not allowed to do anything with it. You've got to stand back, and the judges come out and start judging the cars. Mm-hmm. Now, what had happened is they announced rags down. He turns around. Next thing you know, he's walking away from his car, and all of a sudden he hears it was either an eagle or a hawk or whatever, and he heard the and splat.
No.
Right? And he turns around and he goes, "Now I got a 1967 Corvette convertible, and you have to have your top up for the judge event." And he goes, "And there it is, half on my vinyl top and half on my paint." And I turn around and I'm like, "Nope." And he said, "I go over with my rag and I start cleaning up." And it's just next thing I know, I got a judge showing up at me going, "It's supposed to be rags down."
Exactly.
And he's like,
"You turn off the bird."
He goes, "Dude, if you think I'm going to leave a pile of bird crap for a $20 freaking trophy, you're out of your freaking mind."
My favorite one to this day was we had the show up in the North American Auto Show, and we had two Gallardos and we had a Murcielago 670 SV, and that place up there, I forgot the name of it, the Tech Center or whatever, notoriously leaks stuff. And they have, if you look up, you're going to see these white towels, basically. Those are bras, and they're made to hold up from where leaks are happening that they just can't get ahead of. It's impossible. It's a huge stadium. So we went up, and one day I remember talking. I come back, so we did the first. It was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So the first actual one for the public, I think, was Thursday. So we did Thursday, which is a short day, and then we did Friday. So Friday, I come in. This is the big day. It's all going to start. I'm all suited up. I look perfect. I walk over, and there's the white Spider. The top is obviously down on it. That's fine. I look on the back of it, and I'm going, there. It looks like somebody sprayed Coke all over it.
Oh my God.
And I'm thinking, how did I miss that? Did that happen yesterday, or did that? Because I waited late to close up, because you don't want some of the cleaning people would actually go in the cars. I had a phone attacher broken off into a car one time, and with their phone was laying in my car, and I'm like, "Dude," and they were like, "No, nobody's been in your car." And I was like, "I have their phone. You want me to call them? Like, it's got to be one of your cleaning staff." So I always stay late for it. But come to find out, they come in, and I had, thankfully, I had a friend that was a detail place that was running a booth there. And I was like, "For the love of God, you got to come over and clean this." And they came over and washed it up for it, so that all of a sudden I see the drops. So I called the guy over, and I was like, "Hey, what do we do?" And he was like, "Oh, no problem." And I'm like, "How do you stop a leak?" And literally 2 minutes later, you see, imagine 100 feet in the sky, this over thing. There's a guy on this scaffolding, climbing over, and he's putting this bra up, and that's over our display. And it was so funny because he fixed it so that, it wouldn't happen again. But it was so that water was just awful. But anyway, Vinny was saying, and again, on the bundles of trophies, if it's for a charity, that's an unneeded expense that takes money from the profits.
I'm going to say yes and no on that.
Yeah, take the John Martin show in Pawtucket. Huge show, great show, but almost every car gets a trophy. I'll always support the John Martin Foundation because John was my boss. Yeah. That show is not run correctly. What's your input on that?
So I think, Vinny, I think you're right to a point. The thing about the trophies is like the Camaro Club show that happens at the Budweiser plant, and many of the other ones, they do the same thing. Each specific trophy is sponsored,
right?
By whatever so that sponsor is usually spending $500 to get their name put on the bottom of the trophy. with the winner of that class kind of thing. So I mean, yeah, it's a $20, $20 to maybe $50 trophy depending on the size kind of thing, but the charity is getting like $500, for that specific trophy kind of thing. So that's
I think it comes back to best practices. Like for instance, when we did I ran the 22 rally car show. All the trophies that we had were donated by somebody who had trophies. So he's like, I've got 100 trophies. I need to get rid of. What do you want to do? And we're like, hey, we're going to do a car show. I was like, give me all the trophies. Let's do it. And we had these guys donate. So we really spent nothing. All the money still, every time that we collected went to the charity. But like, and the thing is, and the reason why I say best practices is because you look at a sponsor and you go, hey, this is how much the trophies are. We're going to do a couple of trophies here to warrant people coming in and doing this and kind of doing a good thing. What I see a problem might be, and I don't know much about how that other one's run, so I don't want to comment on that. But if you said, hey, I do a charity, but I want to do 100 trophies, and now somebody has to sponsor it, are they sponsoring it directly? Or would it be better to say, because 20 trophies, how much you got to be spending a lot of money there. Yeah. That's a lot of money that could go
adds up. I mean, it does genuinely add up. And usually the way it works is, or at least what I've observed usually is that like each class is sponsored by a different business.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so, and I think that works well for most charities to do it that way. But again, the problem is that, when you have too many classes, I mean, great. The charity is getting like, a bunch of money for like all these trophies that they're putting out. But the problem is that they're losing their own audience because they don't want to wait around for like 2 hours for their class to come up.
Right. And that's it. When I was judging and I was talking to somebody else about something not too long ago, that they were like, yeah, we're just going to judge it. What trophies should we have? Asking me because it is for a charity show. And I was like, you guys got to figure that out. Like, I don't know who it's going to go to, how it's going to go. Am I the only person judging? Because at most during a certain amount of period, it's like, I can do 50 cars maybe. And that's thing is now you want to break it up in classes. And the thing is, like, for instance, I'm going to pick a different judge for a concourse show than I would pick for an import tuner show. Because one show is going to cater to somebody else and one's going to cater to somebody else, and they have different kinds of people, and all those people have to be vetted too. So everybody that walks in, I have to look at them and say, okay, so how do you feel about this car? It kills me because I've judged at shows before and had a sub judge that would come with me to make sure I was judging right. And that sub judge would look over and say, oh, you got to vote that guy's Subaru car. That's got to be the best. And the reason that guy's the best is because he's a friend of mine. He's a really cool guy. For years, and I'm just like, are you serious, dude? I'm going to vote that guy has nothing done to his car. It looks cool. And I know you think it makes 600 horsepower. That car makes maybe 200, 300 at the most.
Stock.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, exactly. And then you'd have a car where it was like this car, you can tell everything's custom. Everything's just carbon fiber. And they'll look over and say, well, that's not really done right. And I'm like, can you not see?
Yeah, I totally, I can totally see. I mean, I've never actually judged an event myself, but I've at least been judged a couple of times, especially at the Corvette club. I can't win the class that I win, or I won in anymore, mostly because I've done too much since. Then now I don't have the stock wheels on it, but I do have C5 wheels that are instead of the C4 wheels. And certainly my interior is nowhere near stock anymore, type of thing. But someday I hope to like get get paint correction done and all that kind of stuff, and maybe add some racing stripes. I mean, because that's at least 300 horsepower right there. If I can get some racing stripes on, I know I can get 300 plus horsepower out of that, right? That's perfect. And if I put a Summit Racing sticker on my car, that's at least another 15 horsepower out of the gate. Easy, right?
David said it costs hundreds for plastic dust collectors, and can get into the thousands. And he's right.
Yeah.
The other thing I say to people is that, when you have a show that has trophies, don't give them out. Don't give them away to people that make them earn them. because if you don't, I had a show I went to that was like top 50 or top 100 in the show, and I'm like, there's probably 100 cars in the show. And the thing is that if somebody's winning a trophy and effectively they don't deserve it, other people are going to judge you, and they're going to validate the power of those trophies based on how they're handed out. So if you keep it at 10, you're almost guaranteed that it's going to be somebody.
Well, that's a double-edged sword, because one of my articles that I wrote for my website was like the unwritten rules for attending a car show, and like one of those rules is you genuinely have to abide by the judge's decision. You can't argue the fact, if you may have the best car there, but if you you missed out, kind of thing, and maybe next time, kind of thing, with a different judge, kind of thing. But I agree though, I agree to your point that to make sure that the event runners are actually making and vetting their judges. I think that's a good statement to say. You said that earlier, is like actually vetting who's doing the judging for each particular class, kind of thing. I did want to go back to Archie Wright posted about that where he's a school teacher, and we let school organizations come out to our show to help them raise funds.
Yes, I saw that. I missed.
I think that's a great point, Archie. If you're still on. And that's kind of why I mentioned like the Boy Scouts kind of thing, because you almost have like an automatic volunteer base, to help you park, help you, take in funds and help you organize a little bit, kind of thing. So
you build in the future too. Like when you take those people that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to see stuff.
I think the greatest example of that is the York Auto Show up in Maine, which is a fantastic event if you've never been. It's done for the athletic boosters. So you'll see like a lot of like the athletic kids running around with staff shirts, like helping out and like helping guide cars to where they need to park and that kind of thing. So I think you're absolutely right. It certainly builds the community, and it is great in that aspect. I mean, God, I think when I was a kid, I think I would have killed to be like part of an organization. Like if I was in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, if my troop had actually said, "Hey, we're going to do a car show to raise funds,"
Yeah, David says next Pinewood Derby, have a car show there. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, but the problem with the Pinewood Derby is you don't want your kid to win districts, because this goes forever. only build the car so good.
But no, my thing was like I was saying before, like I grew up with my grandfather's T model, and that was what we did. And it's not a loud car, it's not boisterous, it's still very cool. It's had a rumple seat, you can imagine. But we had a family member who ran a Top Fuel funny car, and we got the call, and he's like, "Hey, you want to check this out?" So we're going to go over and see his car. I'm not thinking anything from it. I just think it's like, some Chevelle or Mustang or something that he does, quarter miles with. And we go over, and here's this thing with the whole thing lifts up. I'm going to show it on the screen there. So you have the whole body lifts up. There's the frame underneath, the engine sitting in it. He's got the whole seat on. And I was like, "What are we doing today?" He's like, "It wasn't running at the last show, right?" He goes, "We're going to, do this stuff and make it do right and make sure that it's, ready to go. And then once we're doing this tuning stuff and making sure the engine's on par, we're going to go to the track later and try it out." And, the whole day I spent there helping them. And at my age at the time, it's just really handing people wrenches. But for them, it was huge that here's this kid coming out and putting the work in, and they were really happy about it. So at the end of it, he was like, "Hey, you did all this." He goes, "You want to hear it start up and do the, go through the cycles and everything?" And I was like, "I don't have anything to block my ears or whatever." And he goes, "Okay, we won't run it long, but I'll run it long enough to you to hear it." And I remember him starting that thing up, and it sounded like the end of the world. Like it was coolest ever, deafening. And it shook the ground. My body, I could feel my chest shaking. Like I was like, "Am I going to have a heart attack?" Because my heart is actually shaking inside my body. And he ran it for about 10 seconds, shut it down. And he goes, "What do you think?" And I was like, "That I never expected that." And YouTube takes you so far. People go on these forums, and this used to happen in the day when people would tell me, "Oh, well, it's like this and it's like this," and I was like, "You've seen it on Street Fire, you've seen it on this, you've seen it on some video, you've never truly experienced it."
So
once you do, it'll change you.
The key about YouTube though is it depends on the platform that the user is using to watch it on. It's like, right. I always see like all these people that are going like, hey, I'm going to do a YouTube channel, but I want to make sure I've got a 4K video camera. And it's like, dude, if you're just streaming on a freaking phone audience, 4K isn't going to show up for, for a phone, kind of thing. But to your point where like sound, sound on a phone compared to sound on a computer that's got like the Logitech freaking THX, with a subwoofer on it, kind of thing. That's a totally different animal. Or gosh, I remember when I had my 4-speaker with subwoofer Altick Lansing, and when anybody who was downloading Naps from Napster, and you'd start like listening to music on your computer, and suddenly like nobody was using their stereo system anymore.
Well, I'm going to welcome Tony into the chat once again. Welcome back. If you want just to make sure, because we never know if anybody's watching this for the first time, introduce yourself and then tell everybody what show you're part of and your thing.
My name's Tony, and I run the Summer Send-Off Car Show that we host in Rockland, Massachusetts.
Nice. So did you have something that you wanted to talk about today? We've been talking about a lot of car show stuff, so I'm guessing you heard something.
I was trying to log in. I just got home, so I'm a little bit late to the party, but what have you guys been talking about?
We were actually talking about trophies for car shows. Some people have brought up that some people don't like trophies at car shows. Some people do like trophies at car shows. The other thing is we were what was it? Basically for a charity event, you don't want to put a lot of money into trophies if money can go to the charity. So Vinny was saying around 10 trophies was good. And then I was kind of like, it sounds like a good amount for the charity stuff, but for the bigger shows, you know what I mean? It's kind of open season. So do you have it? I know you have some excellent input on this. So if you got some, go for it.
I feel like with charity shows, people are a lot more generous and they're willing to donate more. That's sometimes when we go to approach people about doing awards and stuff like that, or talk to them that we're going to be doing awards, the first thing they say is, where's the money going? Or what's this? What's that? They want to know where their money's going, which is understandable. Again, it all varies on the show. A lot of shows are doing more charity things now. So sometimes, like you said, it's top 10 awards. People are just donating money just to donate it. They're just there to just be there and help the cause. I don't know. I mean, I know people make trophies, stuff like that to donate to shows to try to save some money and attract people. So everyone tries to pitch as best as they can with stuff like that.
Well, I know you have a little bit of history too with this David Morgan Great Car Show. Good call. I know you have some input on kind of the doing a show versus a meet. In other words, I know you had, and especially some of the shows you've done in the past was based on the idea somebody could come in and say, I want to compete for the trophy, or I want to come in and just show my car show. I think it was even in the video that you sent out or had that you were discussing. Do you find now that more people want to come to a show and compete for a trophy, or do they want to come more for the meet? And what would be kind of the percentage?
I think definitely taking over car shows in our area anyway. There's a car meet 3 nights a week, at least 3-4 nights a week. So I think the meets have taken over more. Not everybody has the crazy amount of money to spend on their cars. They just want to go, just hang out, be around other cars. You know what I mean? Just feel welcome. And I think people that do go to shows appreciate the shows because there are less shows in our area. So I feel like, the 4 or 5 shows that we have that are big, people support it because people do like to get trophies too. They like to be recognized for their hard work. And showing off what they've worked hard for.
So Tony, have you got a hard date for the 2022 date?
Yeah, we're gonna do we're actually gonna do a car meet. I think it's June 16th. It's a Saturday, and then the car show is at August 7th. It's a Sunday.
Nice. So so you got two big things. Same spot for both events.
Yeah. It's 200 Ledgewood Place in Rockland. Very nice scenery. It's secluded. No one bothers us. We're way off the main road. And people just come, just have a good time.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, I remember the first time, Joel, I ever went to his show. I come in and I was like, I think you had the bouncy house, you had a tug of war, you had a tire in the center. It was so crazy. And I'm like, what is going on here? I was like, why are people not taking notes? Because it just had so much stuff. And then the next year I came, I think he had the DB drags. So people came in and had their DB stuff going. One guy's music was so loud that you could see the window rippling in it. I forgot how many decibels it was, but it was like you couldn't sit in the car. You'd blow your eardrums out. And it was insane. And it was so great to go to a show that you found a way. It was like, you know what? I understand I have a 12-inch foot and a 9-inch shoe of a show here, and I'm going to try to cram everything in it. And you did it. It made it look easy. So it was something that I really had a lot, and I still to this day have a lot of respect for your show. And I think that you do an excellent job on it. And for that reason, I think it's just grown year over year over year, and you're very passionate about it. So that, just the best way I know how to say it is keep the momentum going. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I appreciate that. We appreciate it.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm going to put the beat on. What's up, Joel?
I'm on the fly updating the list and calendar on newenglandautoshows.com right now.
You give him a show date without him going, hold on, I got to put this in for a second.
Literally, like I pulled up, I'm like, Rockland, when was that? That was on the 8th last year.
He probably knows more about your history than you do. Joel, did you see the video that he put up with the history of?
I think I did.
We did.
I mean, the problem is like I see so many videos of different car shows now. It's hard for me to keep up.
This one's really well done. You wouldn't miss it. If you know what I'll do is I'll go to the thing and pull the video and then send you a link for it when I get it, because it is definitely like the cool thing about it. Used to be when we were making videos back in the day, it was very difficult to make a video that was production quality. We had to have, like, you had 4 or 5 dudes that were working on stuff. And then it came to a period where the stuff was coming in YouTube. Everybody wanted to be YouTube stars. And so everybody was making promises, and you get guys that all, hey, we're going to be there. We're going to film. And they either didn't release the film or the stuff that they made. It was all mixed up. And that thing is I think that was kind of one of the times where I kind of tried to rise to the top because everything I was putting out, but I just didn't put out everything consistent. Now we're getting to the point of where we've got some real guys out there that understand cameras. There's access to this material out there, and they have genuine passion for both cars and cameras. And I think it was LaShawn Miller, or what's his business? What's it called? Miller Production or something like that? Yeah. So, but I saw him, I want to say I met him in 2015 at the UTI show or something. It's somewhere, it's a college. And I remember seeing him. I go, man, this guy's going to go somewhere. And sure enough, man, he didn't let me down. And then I see your video come out, and I was like, I couldn't wait. And I watched it, and seriously, movie stuff that I would like. He was going to put it on a big screen. I was like, it deserves to be there. And that's the thing is you go to these events and you get to enjoy a story, not just, where did this car show come from, but just the idea of sharing this story about how it went from this small thing to being a big thing. And like, people just think these shows pop up like, no, Tony just put his stuff together and it's a great show off the gate. Like, no, man, he worked his butt off and risked a lot to do that first show. It's never easy. And then to have it be where it is just shows that passion. And like I said, those are the car shows that you see that keep bubbling up, right, Tony?
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah. And then we have Joel over here that shares stuff. And I see we put this whole thing together. We're going to get something where it's like every show out there is going to be full of people. Everybody's going to know what shows are good and which ones we're like, we're not doing that. But but yeah, that's the thing is if we can fill these things up and get good quality content and get more supported stuff. How was that production for you, Tony? Was it fun to do, or was it something that kind of like did it feel like it was invading your space sometimes?
No, it was at times it could be very overwhelming because it's a lot of information. You know, we started in 2005, and
yeah, I was going to say this is not a young show. This is a show that's been around for.
Yeah, we started in 05, and we actually took a break for a little bit, and we had to figure some things out, and we came back even stronger. And I was talking to photographer Rex Jones for a while. I'm like, I want a documentary and just talk about the car show, and he's like, okay. And then one day we were just at a car meet, me and Rex, and he was like, LaShawn's here. And I'm like, all right, man, I'll talk to him. And he goes, just give him a chance, just talk to him. And then we just had probably a 20-minute conversation about what we wanted to do. And I think I said it last live. I told him what we wanted to do. We all agreed, and we were just like, okay, let's see where it goes. And like I said, they came to my house. They had the boom lighting on, and they had the microphones on us.
Yeah. And you're like, I didn't expect this. I thought it was going to be somebody with a GoPro.
Yeah, everyone's super nervous. Yeah. Everyone in one by one doing interviews and then walking back out. And then, he followed us around for the day before the car show. He followed us around at the car show. And then he was even doing Zoom meetings afterwards, interviewing people.
I love the Zoom. Yeah.
And he put it together. And at first he was like, hey, man, this is going to be about 15 minutes. I said, this isn't going to be about 15 minutes.
Right.
And he started like really digging into it. And he's like, okay, man, maybe 45 minutes at the most. And I said, dude, you're telling me you got the whole day of the car show. That's 8 hours right there. Right. The first day we filmed, he got to my house at 1. And I want to say he left at like midnight. Yeah. So right there, you have almost 20 hours right there, not including other Zoom in and everything else. So I think in total, he ended up with about 30 to 40 hours of material.
Yeah.
He made a copy and it was almost 2 hours long. And I'm like, hey, man, I don't know if people fit through this. So
and then he still got it out as quick as he did. That was amazing.
I was like, we got to trim the fat a little bit.
Right.
Got it down to about 1 hour and 15. So, we've been telling people to we wanted to release it. And then we just kind of was hoping that people would watch it in their at their own leisure. So like, it's one of those things where you can watch 20 minutes, turn it off, come back to it, another 20 minutes or whatever.
Like it.
It's a Saturday night or Friday night, you're home, you're like, let me watch 10 minutes, 20 minutes of it. And I mean, we've been doing pretty good with the views. We're happy with the video. I'm sure LaShawn's happy that I'm not calling him every day.
Right.
And it's 46, 37 seconds in.
Yep. All right, so we got a new individual that has joined our chat, and I don't believe has been in the Hangout before. How about you give us an introduction to yourself and what you do?
My name's Rich Waterman. I run and do the old All-Time Low magazine that you guys may have heard about from time to time. So I've talked to Reggie off and on. He keeps asking me to jump in, and things have just been crazy, but I had a moment, so I wanted to jump in and at least say hi finally for everybody.
Well, do us a favor too, from All-Time Low magazine. What kind of stuff do you cover, and what's kind of the big thing about it?
Literally, basically, think Mini Trucking Magazine. Mm-hmm. So when Mini Trucking fell out years ago, gosh, it's been 6 years ago now.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, believe it or not. But at the time, we were a digital magazine only. And when Mini Trucking left us, that was our only niche. Like, we don't do anything else. It's just all mini trucks. So people started asking us to try to go into print. And next thing I know, Beth ran into somebody that knew somebody. And all of a sudden, we're printing magazines. And 6 years later, we're about to, actually, issue 29 is supposed to be hitting my doorstep today. So I just haven't been home today. So
right. So you had a lot of success with it. So people told me a while back that they were like, no, we don't really do print anymore. And I was like, no, print. There's tons of stuff out there. You just need to know where to find it. You need to know how to get it out there. And the thing is there's something about print that brings something that just you're never going to get in a digital world. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I mean, you got to admit too. I think all of us grew up with those print magazines, so you kind of dream of seeing yourself in one of those magazines. So
right.
No, it's different seeing it in print from just online. Like,
well, the thing that I used to say too was the word credibility. That was something that we had before because. So, for instance, if you were featured on, I think it was overboost.com, boy, did I show my age on that one too. If you were going on these old websites and stuff, it was a car. Like, it was digital and they put stuff up and it was what it was. Oh, that's a cool car. But there's a little readout thing and you just kind of wasn't invested in it. It was a couple of pictures. But when you saw something on magazine, you knew that you were credible. I remember somebody else told me the other day, they're like, hey, we were featured in this magazine. And I remember him telling us straight out, he goes, that was my dream. He's been featured on websites all the time. The second he was featured in a magazine, that was his dream. And that just says something, right?
It does. And I'll admit it, it's kind of weird being on the different side. Like I'm one of those people. Hell, I want to see my own shit in the magazine one day. I mean, I've had those dreams. I mean, but no, to hear like the people when they are featured or so forth, like just how humbled and taken back a lot of these people are just by seeing their ride have that recognition. Like it's a good feeling.
And it is kind of anticlimactic when you see your own car on your own website, like, wow, that's great, but then to get somebody else, somebody else's stuff. But
I told Joel, I said, we are harder on ourselves than we're harder than other. Like you see somebody else, you're like, hey, I want to push that. But then when we see our own stuff, we're kind of like, there's defects, there's problems with that car. We see all the build that went into it. And when you see the finished product, you're like, oh, look, I don't see all the stuff. So you tend to get more into it. Have you been watching the show tonight or did you just pop in?
I just popped in. Sorry, I was running around like crazy, and Reggie sent me the link, and I kept promising him I'm going to jump in one of these days. So I'm finally trying to fulfill my promise and get my butt in here. So,
Reggie, you want to say something?
Yes, I'm going to say something. I'm proud of this boy right here.
Nice.
Rich came out years ago with All Time Low magazine, and he's done the damn thing, and he knows I'm proud of him. He's really making a strong impact down there in the mini truck scene.
I appreciate that, man. Truly.
Come a long ways, bro, in 6-7 years,
It's been a long ride. It's been a roller coaster, that's for sure. Like, I remember back in the day when we were first starting, when I was incognito and could go to a show and be able to shoot the whole show in like a half hour to an hour. And hell, last year I went to Mini Nats, or maybe it was 2 years ago, but I didn't even make it past the first row for the first day that I was there. But it's awesome getting to meet all the people. Like, that's one of the biggest things I've loved from this. Like, I know a lot of the people get to see their self in the magazine, but the relationships that I've got built over the years through this as well is, priceless.
We're one of those people that has been in this for a really long time, and it's you have a lot of permeated info that comes in. If you could tell somebody that's coming into this world right now, even if they're in a mini truck or if they're going into something, what would be the biggest advice you'd give them? Maybe tell them something about a story that you yourself went through that you've kind of found difficult.
Really find your path. Like, find what you like. That may sound weird, but like when I knew I was a gearhead, for instance. Like, I grew up, uncles have a shop. I was helping dad the whole nine, like a lot of us. But the first thing that I went out was in a lowrider. I had a buddy with an old Cadillac. He hit switches, and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. But I started growing up, and I kind of got steered away with my first marriage. We won't talk about that too much, but it weirdly,
I got a first one and it'll never come up too. So I feel your pain.
but it weirdly led me into the import scene, like, which import scene's awesome. I mean, no disrespect to it. It wasn't me. So all of a sudden I was divorced though, and I found Beth, which everybody knows Beth. She's a mini trucker. I mean, she showed up to our second date in a bagged and bodied square body S10. So I sold all over again. But no, find your path, find what makes you happy. Even same thing. I know a lot of people get hung up on clubs and all this stuff. Like, just do you. If you want to do a club and stuff, that stuff will come, but just do you. Have fun.
I think, and you might agree with me on this, and give me some input too if you think. I think a lot of these people that do or want to start these clubs or start these things, they're putting the cart before the horse. They're like, I want to have a big club. And then they make a Facebook page, and then everybody's supposed to join, and that's their club. And then I said, well, if you're talking about guys like me and you, we started off, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have all this other stuff. We started off with having a bunch of friends, and then the friends got together, and then one day it was like, we should probably call this a club, right? Because it was we were already there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's just finding the people that you groove with. But that's one thing I love about the mini trucking community. I mean, and I'm sure a lot of the communities are the same, but you go to a show, like, hell, first time I went to Heritage, I didn't know Adam from Steve or Eve or anybody, like, but I made countless friends just walking through the night, like at the different hotels and everything. So
nice. And that if there's anything, there's a lot of people say stuff like this is a toxic community. And I go, it's not a toxic community. It's the people that you're hanging out with. If you're out there being an unfriendly person, and you're not going to go out and shake hands, and you're not going to see anybody, you're going to sit with your clique all night and not talk to anybody else. Yeah, you're going to have an isolated time. If you're going to go out there and be friendly with people and share their bills and share their stories, they're dying to share it. Those people want to be a part of a community, and doesn't mean you have to join their club or be whatever. I've made hundreds of friends with all different groups, and I've never seen an unfriendly one that wouldn't say, hey, here's the door, come on in, have fun with us. And they weren't asking for anything from me, but we've learned so much from sharing. And these are permanent. Once you have those two passions that are linked together, they don't ever go away. We all speak the same language. And I think that's key to it. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's the same thing. I can't tell you how many, like, times I've went to a show or whatever, and whatever the logo on the back of your truck or the back of your shirt, it doesn't matter. Like, I've been hanging out with Negative Camber, or like Relaxed and so forth, or Bonsai. Like, I mean, family's family. You'll find good people attract good people. So kind of like you said, don't just sit there like a fuddy-duddy and watch the show go by. I mean, get out there, meet people, shake hands. Trust me, I believe it or not, I have social anxiety, but get past it and break that wall, and you meet a lot.
Yeah, that was one of the toughest things for me to, when I started off, was like just like finally going and shaking hands, kind of thing, which became kind of like a bad thing to do during COVID, but but actually like going up and then asking questions. I think I'm a firm believer of, no matter what car, truck, van that somebody shows up with, every person has a story that goes with that vehicle, and they're eager to share that story.
Yes, they are.
And if they're not eager to share that story, they're not there for the right reason.
This is the wrong car show for you if you don't want to share your story.
Wrong car show, exactly.
Just trust me. Some of us may be socially anxious, but guess what? 90% of the dudes that are there have their own story. Yeah. They're going to see your truck and they're going to feel the same pain. They're going to walk up and say, "Oh, you're on bags, or you're on hydraulics. Did you have this problem with this bolt or this thing or whatever? Did this break for you? How did you beat that?" So many times we're known by our flaws. Yeah. And those flaws are what we share.
But even if it's not in my genre, I still love hearing that story.
Right.
Right. I think, where I show up in either a Corvette or a Jeep, I still want to talk to the guy who restored a Mark I Rabbit you know, and why did you put a turbo into a Mark I Rabbit? Like, why would you do that? But I want to know why, and I want to know what the story is behind that vehicle. I think it's fascinating, and the trials and tribulations that you'll like find out that they went through. I think that there's no end to that, and it's fascinating. And if you're not fascinated in somebody else's story about their car, you're not at the right car show.
Right. And good, Rich.
I'll even add like that to the point of what you're saying is exactly also what I want with my magazine. Like there's a lot of magazines back in the day where it's easy just to talk about the truck, like, oh, here's the paint job, here's the interior, blah, blah, blah. But there's no story behind it. Yeah. There's a lot of hidden stories behind these vehicles. Like Chad Loke he's got a crew cab Toyota. It's on the cover of this issue. It ended up becoming our biggest feature ever because it's got such a deep story to it. So, I mean, hell, it's like 7 or 8 pages long. But I don't want to shortchange a feature in somebody's story. Just like you said, that's what I like hearing as well from people. Like the vehicle's cool, but I want to hear behind it.
I think what you're saying right there is exactly what we need to do more in the car community. There's too many things that we do when we do features, and not to say that those people made a mistake that they did the feature the way they're doing it, but there's a lot of stuff out there that would say this is what the engine is, this is what the suspension is, this is the size of the motor, this is what they did for end links, this is the transmission. You know what? How about tell me that? For instance, the car that I own right now was dedicated to my grandfather because I told him this is the car that I was always going to own, and it even has its own name based on that. That's a story. That's a history. That's what people tune in to see, not just the idea that hey, it's got a 454 and it goes this in the quarter mile. That's great. We want to hear that. My friend, I had a friend that just passed away, and his son says, "I'm going to take this car. I'm going to get it from my father, and I'm going to continue his legacy. And every pass this year, I'm going to do as much drag racing I can this year, and I'm going to get to the 11 second quarter mile that he always wanted to do with the car." I want to follow that story. I want to see him get to that, and just you're not beating anybody else. You're beating yourself. You're beating a ghost. You're beating all this stuff that he wanted to overcome. You're fighting somebody else's battle. And that was the thing is it brings tears to your eyes. It's a story. It's something huge. And if we're continuing to do that and getting people vested, everybody wants to have that story. They want to get on board with it.
No, I agree. Actually, one of my favorite features that's been, there's a few of them, but one of the first ones that comes to mind was Sean Cooley. He's got an OBS, and it was his grandfather's truck. And he actually literally road tripped the entire United States in his grandfather's bag truck. I mean, that was a hell of a story. It was like Forrest Gump going all over the place, but in a mini truck. So,
and that's the thing is that, what, somebody that turns on YouTube and says, I want to hear a story. We're talking about Tony just put up his video for his thing. It was a 2-hour long movie, but it was a great movie that talked about what his story was and the things that he had to overcome to get where he is. But those are your story there, Tony's story. Those are the things that I'm like, I don't want to just turn on Netflix. I want to have it on YouTube. I want to have it everywhere. I want to pop it in. I want to play it. And I'm going to be glued to the screen. This is part of our history, and history that maybe you're a new guy. You want to do a show down the road. You're going to see what somebody else's struggle is about. And hey, what does it take to get to that next level? We were talking about making every trophy special. Well, here's a reason for having a special trophy. This was the work that guy put in, and you look and go, that guy deserves a trophy. That's huge. If the community wants to give you one, that pat on the back. I mean, there's going to be a point when maybe we should have a a Hall of Fame from guys that are doing cars, and I just don't want to see. Wayne Carini or, all these couple of guys. I want to see real people that came out of like your magazine, out of ECS, out of Tony's show, and come in and say, hey, look, these guys deserved it. Look at the story. They got one story, but that story is super special and it deserves to be shared because it changed the way we looked at cars.
Yeah, no, I'd like to see that. It is cool. The mini trucking community, Bob Hayes, he has been putting on at SEMA every year. There is a mini trucking Hall of Fame, so you could actually see some people within our scene being highlighted, and it's
beautiful.
It is kind of cool though, like, because I'll admit, like, it is weird to me, like when people say they do look up to me and they're proud or whatnot, because I've been that kid. Like, I remember looking up to the BBs with drop 'em wear and everything, and being like mesmerized at the show and like barely talking to him. And now I can call up John or whatever, or we partied with him at Camp and Drag and so forth. Like, it's we're all people. We all put our shit on the same way. Like, get out there and meet people though.
Right. But that's the thing. And I'm the person that I don't just like keeping it in the car community too. We had a bunch of events last year that were just kind of pop-up meets per se, but they were stuff where in the middle of this pandemic, we got in our cars, drove down to, what is it? Like the State House or whatever, parked in front of the State House and said, have all the kids come out and check out the cars and sit in the cars and do all this other stuff. And they've been locked up for all this time, and they got to come out and experience these vehicles. And that was the point when the mayor shows up or the governor shows up or all these guys come out and they said, you know what? I have to be honest. We thought you guys were like hoodlums before that just loved making noises. And we were trying to get this legislation to make your exhaust loud or, get rid of your Kentucky squat. But now we've seen you out here now and we're going, holy crap, those kids looked at you in a way that we've never seen a kid look at anybody else. We thought you guys were like wrestling stars basically now. And it changed the way they looked at us. And that was huge, because now it's like you were saying, you're accepted, and not just in the car community, but you're accepted in the world. And that is huge. We need more of that, right?
Oh, we do. And also that's one thing that I like seeing too, or a lot of people are being more conscious of it, because a lot of us were those kids and now we're adults. We have kids and so forth that are the age to drive and do all this, but you never know who's watching. Like, so act respectfully. Literally, you can think nobody's watching. I guarantee you somebody's watching.
Oh, absolutely. Like, they're filming it too.
Yeah. It is. So it can be good or bad for you, but man, be the good. Like, be the one that all of a sudden inspires that kid to become the next gearhead or enthusiast. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many bad habits a lot of us have done or can do. Like, let's steer kids the right way,
Go ahead, Joe.
It's funny because I attend a car show with a good friend of mine, and we kind of have a contest to see how many kids we can get to sit in our car.
Nice.
Right. It's kind of one of those, just the fact of like opening up your car door for a kid who can barely reach the pedals and sit in this thing and then it's funny because we have an internal rivalry about, like, where he has a C3 Corvette and I have a C4, right? And so it's like, he'll get one kid first, and he's like, oh, sit in my car, all this, and I said, listen, you can sit in his, but afterwards you can sit in the improved version, kind of thing. But on the same token, what actually happened one time when we were doing this is there's a guy who had pulled up next to us with a Ferrari, and like all of a sudden he was watching the two of us do this, and all of a sudden he got up and he walked up to Ken and he goes, listen, you want to sit in, these guys have their American car, you want to come sit in like a real exotic kind of thing, and now you see this kid's like eye just like light
up. Joel's like, I'll be happy to sit in it, thanks.
Right. That's what it was too. Listen, hey. I was very happy to sit in that car.
Me first.
But then we started talking to that guy, and he goes, I was really inspired by the fact that, you legit were actually, you're looking at that next generation and actually like bringing that in. And I think that's important. Because I think, we're very close to that, that time when some kid's going to get excited about a Prius or something like that, like at a car show kind of thing. And we'll laugh about it and say it's never going to happen. But honestly, there's cars that I see at a car show, like, now, where I was like, when did I ever think in the world that I would get excited to see an AMC Pacer at a car show?
Well,
and fully stock and just go, oh my God, look at this thing. And I think that's a fascinating thing to happen. And in the other genres, like when you go to a car show and you see an old 1970 Mercury Montego station wagon, you know, and it's like, oh my God, you know, there's my childhood right there. And
Right.
Well, here's another thing that I want to add too, is David Morgan just quoted. He says, "I know how that is with my car. One of the reasons why I have it." And those guys, David and his group do cosplay cars. So those guys would like to do stuff like he has the Joker mobile. There's a guy with the Batmobile. There's a guy with.
Oh, I know. Wait, David's
yeah.
the one with the Joker mobile?
Yeah, he's got the Joker
David
thing. So that was the thing is they have their cosplay cars, and that is just seeing the kids get all excited when they go out with their costumes on. They have a specific event for that, and I always love seeing them. I love when they come out and do their things, and because you're never going to see that anyplace. Like we didn't even see a DeLorean. They got guys that I think they're doing DeLoreans and doing the A-Team stuff and that kind of stuff. It's fun. But to go back to what Rich was talking about too, that like the stuff that you were talking about there, Joel, that people will share in their vehicles. What happens is on Channel 7 News at night, we get on Thanksgiving, you're going to get a video of people doing turkey burns. They're going to be doing burnouts, and there's going to be this huge thing about how awful this is and how you know, they can't believe that people let that. And what really I got ashamed of them for recording was, as I said, you missed that everybody in Import Evolutions was that day of that full morning handing out turkeys to the homeless. Hundreds of turkeys that were donated to them that they handed out. I've never seen it on the news. Nope. So people are always looking at the bad stuff, and they're not paying attention to stuff like Joel is doing, or stuff like Rich is doing, or stuff like Tony is doing, stuff like Reggie is doing. All this stuff that we go out there and we try to share it with the world. And like we were saying, the people who are looking are the people that they're not looking at the right stuff and not looking at where we're giving back to the community. And I don't know. How do we change that? Anybody want to go jump in on that one?
Unfortunately, I think the nature of news media, unfortunately, I don't think it will change. Because negativity sells.
Misery loves company.
Misery loves company, but bad news is easier to report on than good news because good news becomes a fluff piece.
Yeah. Right? Well, who would you want to give an award to? Like if you hung, I don't care how many shows you did. If you gave out 150 turkeys to the homeless, you know what I mean? And Tony, I even think you guys had some kind of charity event that you guys did a while back, right?
Yeah, every car show we do. We donate our raffles. We usually do like cradles to crayons.
Yeah,
they usually give us a list of like all the for the kids going to school. So we'll get bags, pens, paper, all that stuff. And then we donated to a couple of different charities as well. Cancer Society, just variety of things too. So there are some people doing some good things out there. That's really.
And that's where I want to be able to say, like, we give stuff and then we talk about what happens when we have a Hall of Fame down the road. Then I want to look at those people that have done good stuff like you guys have and say, how do I give those guys a big pat on the back and say, maybe a medal, maybe, I don't know what is a trophy for them, because they put in a lot of selfless effort. Rich is over here telling awesome stories about people in the car community. Tony, you're giving back. Me and Joel do our stuff with the veterans, and that's, it's, you look over and you go, all these guys are doing this great stuff, and I just want to shout it to the world. And a lot of times it's like I just do it, and like Joel was saying, the news media or some media source, they don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? And the magazines obviously are.
It's not sensational enough.
Right.
It's you might make a morning show, but you're not going to make prime time. And that's what's sad about like today's society.
No, I think it comes to a point now that we have to take, as the car community as a whole needs to take up those things and start saying, instead of sitting there criticizing somebody's build, I think we should look over at the people that are so special, especially in this room alone, and as the community as a whole, to be able to find those people and say, if we're going to change from any sort of toxic car community that people say that we have, then find these people that are doing all this extra stuff and post it up and go, wow, I can't believe, do you guys know that this happened? Do you know what I mean? And share that out there, you know? Do you, I mean, does everybody agree with me on that? Or is that, you know?
You're not going to get an argument from me.
That's right, exactly.
Oh, I agree, boss.
Yeah. So yeah, what do we got next, Reggie? Anything big? We go in the night, or do we want to call it?
No, I'm gonna call it. This has been like what, over 2 hours, man.
2 hours and 4 minutes, buddy. And you know me, I'd go for like 3 hours. My friend Nathan messaged me the other night, and he was just like, "You guys went for 2 hours and 30 minutes."
No, I
on the
messaged
first
you
thing?
too.
Oh, that's right. Joel did.
I was like, dude, 2 hours, and he goes,
minutes.
dude, I could have gone 4 hours more.
Look, I'm no different than Rich right there. The difference is you're at Lone Star, right?
No, I'm at our venue. Like, I'm in Indianapolis right now.
Nice.
My team's down at Lone Star Throwdown.
So you like me, you got a crew down there at Lone Star then.
Yeah, I got Michelle Boone's down there, and also Sherry Delgadillo from the West Coast. She went out, and then Damian Davis even popped down there as well. So I guess technically I got 3 people there right now. And I'm here working.
I got one.
LST is a hell of a show. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have been, but it's a hell of a show. It's a big one.
Well, I want to get down there.
It's a good one. Like, take your walking shoes. It's deceiving on how big it is. So, but there's a lot of quality. I'll give Lonnie and Radar credit. Like, they've done a damn good thing down there. So
Nice.
Well, Reggie, what's up?
What's up, Brandon?
Oh, there you go. What's up, buddy?
I am wore out.
You look tired.
Rich,
it's cold.
Brandon.
What?
I was letting Rich from Automotive Magazine know that you're ECS Brandon. You're the one that's at Lone Star.
Yep. Also, co-owner Control Freak. So
big shout out to you guys tonight to the sponsor of the show, controlfreakcompany.com.
Appreciate you, bro. So I'll tell you right now, LST is amazing. There's some high caliber rides out there that are super badass. It's rained all day long today, and I think it's been in the high 30s, low 40s today.
Wow.
So yeah, but I got a bunch. I actually do have a photo shoot I'm doing, so that's another good thing too. So
good.
Nice. Yeah, that's even what Michelle said. I was checking in with her, and she said the rides are nice, but the weather, unfortunately, hasn't been cooperating today, it sounded like.
Yeah, me and Jonathan, man, like, we're just wore out. Like, the first day, we got here Friday, went and hung out for a little bit, and then we left because, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of people there, and we knew today was going to be the day to be there. So we went and hung out, rode go-karts last night. Or it was last night, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, we went and rode go-karts last night. I didn't realize how out of shape I was, man. Like, my God, like, these go-karts kicked my ass. And we did that, and we come out here today, and we walked around since like 9 o'clock this morning. And let me tell you, it definitely takes a toll on you. But I sent Reggie kind of some sneak peeks of what I got photos of and whatnot, and I think he'll be pretty pleased with some of these rides out there.
Nice. Reggie's just recovering, so he had a technical malfunction, we'll call it.
Yeah. Well, technical. My freaking camera, my phone just traveled like 9 feet down to the floor.
Right. It jumped. Definitely technical.
Get on me, guys.
That was funny.
I thought I was going to
I guess at the show today, yesterday, there was a truck stolen from the spectator parking.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Today, there was a truck stolen from the hotel. There was a minivan that slid in the mud and like T-boned a lifted truck earlier. Yeah.
The heck is going on down there?
Man, listen.
Texas driving.
Yeah, listen, I'm from Oklahoma, but I'm originally from Texas, and I'm from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I know how to drive aggressive and stuff like that, but listen, if the speed limit is 65 and I'm cruising 75 and you're still passing me, dude, like, you're doing something wrong, and everybody out here drives like they're on the fucking Autobahn.
Right. Yeah. Well, there in New Hampshire, just they're putting a vote up soon to raise their speed limit to 75. So,
yeah,
What?
That's crazy.
Ours is 70. We drive about 90, but
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, I run 90 when I'm home because people know how to drive out there, and there's not as many people. But hell, the lanes up here, they're what, 4 wide, 5 wide sometimes.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, there's places that are 5 wide. Like it's ridiculous out here.
What drives me crazy about the New Hampshire thing, because I live in New Hampshire, what absolutely drives me bonkers is the local
Good night, David.
news channel, which is WMUR Channel 9. They will literally put there was a kid who at 4 o'clock in the morning was on Route 16 and he hit 135 miles an hour going by the cop. And when the cop put his blues on, he pulled over.
Wow.
Right? And WMUR put this kid's mugshot on and everything. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, there isn't a guy in New Hampshire who's at least my age who didn't take their dad's car and hit 100 plus miles an hour at least once or twice.
You're talking about the Porsche, right?
No, it was actually a GTR.
Oh, okay.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Listen, I would be in prison for murder if my kid took my GTR. Just saying.
Awesome.
He wouldn't have to worry about the cops. He had to worry about me.
Right.
But yeah, but he's like, just put me in jail because my dad's coming.
Yeah. He's going to arrest him too.
I don't know what would piss me off more is like the fact that if my kid took my Corvette and did the same thing, what would piss me off more, him taking it or the fact that the cops would actually put it on a freaking tow truck? And who knows what's going to happen after that kind of thing. So it's like, kind of thing. But like the fact that like we're actually putting people's mug shots because, because they're hitting 100 and like one of them was like 110. He got pulled over on Route 80. No, not 84. It was 84 in Connecticut. Some kid did 110 on Route 84 in Connecticut. Who hasn't done 100 miles an hour on freaking Route 84 at like dark 30? Come on, it's like if he was doing it at like 5 o'clock rush hour when everybody else is going like 50 miles an hour, okay, but it's like an open road, nobody else is on it. Come on.
Are you kidding me? 95 when the commute up like 90 miles per hour is like the average speed for those people going through.
Right. And it's like
crazy.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God.
They're not even car guys. They're just getting to work.
Right.
Hell, I was leaving Jonathan's house one day. I was out there like 3 o'clock in the morning, drove an hour and a half back home. I was back at your house by what, 9?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I was back at his house at 9 o'clock in the morning. We had a car show to go to. Went to that car show. I was falling asleep. I was trying to get home. And I topped this hill, and I was doing 130 in my little HHR SS I had. And I started slowing down, and I pulled over. I knew he saw me and stuff like that. He came and got me, whatever. He was like, what's the hurry? I said, dude, I'm tired. I ain't going to lie to you. I wasn't paying attention. And thank God the cops in Oklahoma, the highway patrol, like they're actually pretty decent people. He's like, well, I can't let you go with nothing. He was like, so we're going to do 75 and a 65. It's $100 ticket. It doesn't go on your license or anything like that. You got 30 days to pay it. He said, slow your ass down. Yes, sir. Put the cruise control on about 80 mile an hour, and I was done.
Crazy. I'm almost. If we weren't going late tonight, I would definitely be like, we got to do this on the next show. I'm going to ask everybody what is their top speed and see what we get. I think some of them might be at levels where we go, what's the statute of limitations? Maybe that's, there's a level there. I don't know. Is 150 like you know, it's 5 years for 150 and above 150. It's like, I don't know. They still kind of come after you. Is their number, or they care?
Listen, I know some of these guys out here that got bikes, man. I mean, they run from cops all the time. Those bikes hit, 200 plus sometimes.
Yeah.
It's absolutely frightening to see. There was that I had a bike friend that got pulled over one time, and he said that he was going that fast, and the cop says, I couldn't have caught you, and he goes, I know, and I just stopped for whatever, and he gave him a warning. He was just like, you know what, the idea that you actually stopped, he goes, I couldn't have caught you. And he goes, no, I was in a rush. I wasn't thinking. And he goes, the second I saw you, I put like Joel over there shaking his hand. But yeah, and he gave him a warning and said, look, I don't want to hear about you for the rest of the day. But if I hear about you again, you're going to jail. And the guy was like, I understand. And he just kept going. He's like, yeah, I kept under it for the rest of the day. But yeah,
listen, honesty goes a long way though.
Oh yeah. You know what? And I think humor and kindness will definitely do it, because I was 136 mile an hour clocked on my 2002 VFR Interceptor.
Wow.
And I was pulled over, and he's like, in a hurry. And I'm like, actually, I'm supposed to meet my wife at Castle in the Clouds. So yeah. And, and he looked at me and he goes, and he said the same thing. He goes, you probably could have kept going and I never would have caught you. And I said, I saw the blues. You probably got my plate. So, and he goes, nope, didn't have your plate until I pulled right up to you.
Yeah. I remember listening to there was a couple of bikes going on 128, or it was 95 South, I think, something like that, or 495.
You can't go more than 100 on 128 on a bike. I tried.
It's
too many potholes.
These guys were running from the cops, and we had the scanner on. We were listening to the scanner, and the guy was like, I want to hear updates every 3 seconds. He was giving them updates, and the second they hit, because they were coming into the traffic, and he goes, if you keep chasing them, he says those guys are going to end up either killing themselves or killing somebody that they're going to hit. And that's when they called off the pursuit. He was like, they gave him 20 minutes, I think it was, on the pursuit. And he says, yeah, we're hitting the traffic now. And he goes, I'll give you 3 seconds. He says, if you can't get an ID on somebody, it's over. And sure enough, when he got to like it was 495 past 95, he says, once he saw him at the split, he got into traffic, and they said, call off the pursuit, let him go. And the funny thing was we had a car show that night, and the two guys, because I saw them pass me, 2 of them showed up at the show, and I was like, that was you guys, wasn't it? And he was like, yeah. They didn't want to admit it, and I was like, no, nobody's a cop here, buddy. You're good. And they were like, yeah, that was us. They were doing wheelies too, all sorts of craziness. Yeah, we got away. And I was like, yep, nobody's gonna. I mean, now you couldn't even prove it if you wanted to, because they were gone. But yeah, he says they never got any IDs, they never got any plates, nothing. They were easily going 140. So, but they were cutting into traffic, like splitting cars at like 100 miles per hour, man. I lose sleep even thinking about it, but they wanted to get. So. Yeah. Right. So, all right. So wait, Reggie, you got anything else for tonight, or we're going to call it?
No, I don't want to say a damn thing except it's nice to have all y'all here, and it's past my bedtime, and I want to put cucumbers on my eyes.
Nice.
and wrinkle cream. So, yeah.
Listen, y'all know why he puts cucumbers on his eyes, right?
No.
So he ain't got to go nowhere to get that midnight snack.
Ah, we got a joke.
We got a joke. Well, I want to thank everybody that came out to East Coast Styles Hangout tonight. Thank all the people out there that tuned in. Hopefully next week we're going to see David Morgan on here. Also, I want to thank Brent with Control Freak. Remember, controlfreakcompany.com. Check out his stuff. And we'll be on next week at 8 p.m. for ECS again for the Hangout. Thank everybody for showing up. We will see you next time, guys. You guys have a great night.
Y'all be good, guys.